Now for this one, what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be creating a stunning little box using the Christmas rose. Now this is a nice fun one to create as well, and it's a wee bit different when it comes to technique wise. So what we're going to do is we're just going to bring in some of our white foam. Now it's pure on white, nothing stopping you from colouring it if you want to, or adding an extra wee bit of colour like we're going to do. So I'm just going to bring in the actual die set. So within the die set you can see how you've got the 5 of them, all different sizes, so you can make some really nice larger Christmas roses. You can make some really small diddy ones, or you can do multiple layers. It's entirely up to yourself. So what we're going to do to start with is let's just chop a fair bit down just so that we can use this through our Gemini Mini. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 2 largest ones, I think. So if we take the 2 largest ones there and then there, and we're going to then just, as I say, just start to just chop that up just so that we've got enough just so that it's going to run through. So if we then just pop this next one on. Now I've got the 2 layers, that will die cut 2 layers absolutely perfectly. However, it will cut even more than that. So I'm just going to add these onto my folder for my Mini, and we're just going to set them in place there and in there, closing the folder, and then all that I'm just going to do is I'm just going to run that one through, and then that's going to die cut it. Now even with the foam and the Mini, it's going to be absolutely perfect. So if I move these ones out of the way, and then I'm just going to feed them through, and then I'm just going to just pull them apart. So we've got the 2 of them that have just come out just there, and then we've got the 2 larger ones just here as well. So if we then start to just peel them apart, that's us got the 4 all together. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring in just a little bit of ink just for the centers. So let's bring these ones in, and again I'm just using my quick dry. I'm using the pine tree, and you can be using your blending tool, or you can just use the actual foam on its own if you want. I'm just adding just a bit of colour. I'm just taking a bit of the excess ink, which is the pine green, and I'm just dabbing that just within the middle. So nothing's precise, nothing like that, just straight into the middle like that. So then let's just take up some of that extra ink, and we're just going to just dab that one on as well. So you can see just there, we've got that one. And then what we're just going to do now is we're just going to dab the excess ink from our glass mat into the other 2. So there's 1, and then now 2. So there we go. So that is our 4 where we've just started to add our inks on. So if we can move all of that out of the way, then what I'm just going to do is I'm going to bring in my craft iron. Now I've got this one, which is a craft iron. You can use your home iron, but what I've got for this one is it's in the middle of high and medium. So it's not too hot, because the hotter it is, the more it's going to start to curl, and you want it to curl but really quite slowly. So then I'm going to bring in my ball tools as well. So for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the largest end for the largest actual petal, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down maybe just 1 size, and I'm going to go to the next largest to the top just there. So I'm bringing in the foam as well, so we've got this ready to go. So let's just move these ones out of the way. Let's bring in the largest ball tool end. So we're all good to go. We've got the foam, we've got our heat, as well as the petal. So then all I'm just going to do this time is just bringing in that petal on. We're just going to go straight on to our actual iron. So what I'm just doing is I'm just going to then just pick it up. Now before I do anything extra, I'm just going to holding it at the base of the petal, and I'm just going to start just to actually turn it. So I'm just starting to add my own distressing by turning it. You can use your distressing tool, but I don't want a lot of distress to it. I just want it to be quite subtle. So I'm just going to just turn it around just a few times, and then we're going to do the same with this next one. So as we just start to turn and curl, so we can see just there how that comes together. And then what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to add our ball tool to the end, and I'm just going to slightly, so all the time I'm holding the base, and I'm just going to actually pull. So holding the base, and I'm just pulling the actual ball tool. So we can see, if I tip it that way, we've got that petal. So we've got that slight bit of distress within the middle, but you've got that nice petal flow of a shape. So then we're just going to carry on. We're going to do the other 2. Now what you'll find as well, the heat between your fingers, they're also going to help to actually shape it. So if you think that it's lost its heat from the actual iron, don't worry, you'll still be able to add some shape to it. So we can see just doing exactly the same, always holding at the base just so that we don't tear off the petal. So then there is our next one, or our first one, we can see just there. So if I move that one to the side, so we're just going to do the next one. So we're going to do exactly like we've done just a moment or two ago. So we're just going to bring this one up. So we're just going to just start to turn it just within our fingers. So we're just going to work our way around. And as you can see, I'm not being very gentle with it. I am just turning it around just so that we can start to shape it. So this is how it's then going to look. You know, not very appealing as a flower, but then what we can just do is bringing in our ball tool once again. We're just going to just start to shape it. And then when you're shaping it, what's also doing is it's just extending it ever so slightly to make it a bit longer. And then we're just going to carry on doing that one over like that. So as we keep going, and then what I'm just going to do is finish off that one, and then we can go to the two last smaller ones. So then we're starting to get that shape just there, which all starts to build to make this stunning flower. So let's take our next ball tool. So again, so we're just going from that next size down from the largest one. And then I'm just going to pop our petal on. So just holding it in just with our ball tool, or you can of course use your tweezers if you wanted to. It's entirely up to yourself. So we're just going to just turn and twist. So turn and twist each time before coming along with the ball tool and shaping it. So if we just turn it that way, going back in with the ball tool, and then what we're just doing is we're starting to just shape it. So hold in, and then as we're just running it around the ball tool, we're just pulling it ever so slightly. So we're starting to just extend it that wee bit longer. We're just going to hold and pull, and then that little bit of ink that we popped within the center, that also just blends seamlessly just within the petal. So let's work our way around just like that one. And then what we can just do is come along with this last one. We're going to do exactly the same. And then we get to go to that next exciting part where we get to build it. So I'm just adding that heat on. And then I'm just going to do exactly like we have been doing. So just turning and twisting. So if I turn and twist, and we're going to do exactly the same with these ones. And then we're going to do that final one. So then bringing in our ball tool, so let's move that one out the side just for the time being. And we're just going to just pull that just by adding that bit of shape. So if we do this next one, and then we can bring in this last one, just like that. Now that then gives us our 4 petals from the Christmas rose. So we've got these ones already good to go. So then what I'm going to do before we move on to assembling that one, I'm just going to take some of the actual foliage leaves. So I've got these already done. We'll do one of them just to show you how we've got that shape to it. So we can see, just using some of the green, we've got the foliage leaves already good to go. And that comes from the ivy. So this is where we can start to even add the ivy in the background as well as your flowers. So we'll just do the one just so I can show you how I just shaped that one. Very similar to what we've just done a moment ago. So let's just do 2, just so that we're not wasting a bit. We'll do the 2 at the same time. And then I'm just going to run this one through. So if I just run it through our Gemini Mini, of course, going through the Gemini Mini means it will also go through your Junior as well as your large Gemini, or any of your other die cutting machines at home. So let's move these ones out the way. So then that gives us our actual ivy. Now what we'll do is, once I've separated that one, I'm going to show you the detail that you get within the die, because it's actually already debossed within the die. So if we just even take our pokey tool just to separate them, then there we go. So then we've got that one. Before we do any extra shape to it using the tools, we've got all of that detail that's been embossed already in. Absolutely awesome. So what we can do is let's move these ones out of the way. Let's just take one of the ivy again just to show you. And then we're just going to bring in our heat tool or your iron, whatever way or whatever item you want to use. So if we just take the actual ivy. And then all that I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop that on to the heat. And then all that I'm doing is just popping it onto our foam mat. And I'm just going to just kind of roll. You can roll or you can go back and forwards. It's entirely up to yourself. And I'm just going to leave it just like that. That's all that I'm just doing. Nothing more to it. You can add a wee bit of shape to it if you wanted to, but I'm just leaving it just like that. All that I'm doing. So let's move all these ones out of the way. And then we're going to bring in some of our stamens. So you get a nice selection of different colours within the actual collection. So what I'm going to do is I've brought in some of, it's kind of like these, it's a bit like a deeper tan or maybe like a craft. Now you can start to add extra colour to it if you wanted to. So then I'm just bringing in some jewellery wire, or it could be flower wire, as long as it's very, very thin. And then I'm just going to pick up the stamen. So I've got 7 here. And then what I'm just going to do is just feed the wire around, just bending it around, and then I'm just going to fold the stamens over. So then that gives us double the amount that we can see just there. And then have a look, if I go that way, you can see I've not got them completely level. We've got them very kind of organic, where it's just all over different directions. Then turning the wire around. So if we keep turning it and turning it, this gives us kind of the feeding point. So I'm just going to keep going and keep going and keep going until I've got this nice fine feeding point just at the base just there. And because it's very, very thin wire, it just means we can come along with our scissors, snip away the excess, then that gives us now the ability to feed our actual stamens through the flower in a moment. So let's set that one to the side. Bring in our hot glue gun so we're all good to go. I'm going to bring in our foam mat once again, and then what I'm also just going to do is if I bring in the pokey tool, and we're going to bring in our actual Christmas rose. So let's take the 2 largest ones, and then we've also got the 2 kind of smaller ones, as I say, although it's just the next size down. So starting from the actual smaller one, we're just going to just pierce a hole just within the middle, just there. And then what I'm also going to do is I'm just going to again just feed it through the middle of the next one, offsetting it slightly, just like that one. Now you can pop a bit of hot glue in between each layer if you want. You don't have to, because what's going to happen at the end, the glue is going to hold it all together. So we're taking one of the largest ones and we're just going to just feed that one through, and then we're going to do exactly the same with this next one. We're just going to just using our pokey tool, just feeding that one through. Then that gives us the ability now to actually feed our stamens through. So I'm just going to hold just within the center, and then I'm just going to just pull out the pokey tool, and then I'm just going to feed through the stamens. So I'm just feeding that through the hole that I've already created, and I'm just going to pull. So I'm just holding the flower just with my hands just there, and then gently just starting to pull that one through. Then you can determine whether you want to have the stamens so they're sitting quite proud within the flower, or if you want to just pull them in ever so slightly. So I'm going to leave it just like that one. Bringing in our hot glue just to the base. Now this is why I don't always add glue in between each layer, because I know that I'm coming along at the end with the hot glue. And then just while that starts to set, I'm just going to hold it at the base, and then I'm just going to start to pull in the leaves just to make it more pleasing to the eye. At this point you can add some hot glue in between each petals if you want, but I like that more natural free-flowing look, so we're going to keep it just like that one. So we can set that one to the side for the time being. Then what I'm just going to do is I've got some layers just to create a nice little box. So let's just take our tape runner, and now I've got my base as well as my lid. So all that I'm just going to do is I'm just going to start to create and form this box. So I'm just going to add the adhesive all the way around. So if we just add this on. Now this is just a finishing accent to the top of the box. You can of course come along and add extra detail when it comes to the actual foliage. It's entirely up to yourself. So let's just pop that one on just there. Then that one can go that way. So if I pop it that way, it's more pleasing to the eye. So let's take that one into there. And then all that we're just going to do with this one, tuck in that last one in. That can then go in that way. So as that just sits in, so there comes the actual base of the box. We can then bring in these next ones. So we're just going to add an adhesive on. So if we just work our way around, so if we then just tuck that one in behind, so we're just going to add that one on, we're just going to work our way around. So I'm just going to snip that little excess bit off the edge, tucking this one in. So what you're going to see is we're going to add the flower to the top. Now you can go all out and you can add lots of flowers, whether it's to a box that you're making, whether it's a card, maybe you want to add it to a memory book or scrapbook page, then you can do, but it just adds that finishing touch, and it's nice just to have a little flower, and one that you've actually made as well. So let's just pop that one onto the base, and we can then tuck that one in just like that one, just there. And then you can see now, so if we then just start to open them to the bottom and the base, there is our box. Then I'm just going to take just a couple of mats and layers that I've already done beforehand, so we can just add these ones on. So if we pop them round the sides, just there. And what you'll find as well, the flower that I just used and created when it comes to the actual rose actually complements the colours that I've chosen for the box. So we've got the whites as well as the greens. So if I just pop them ones on into the top there, and then we're going to pop our flower over the top. So don't think of as well, it has to be for a Christmas occasion. You know, it's a very winter flower, like the full winter flower theme. However, you know, there's birthdays, there's anniversaries that you could be using this for as well, and not just at Christmas, all throughout the year. So there is our box already good to go. So let's pop these ones out to the side, bringing in our flower once again, and I'm just going to snip the excess off at the base. Now that gives us the ability now to have that flat on whichever area we are popping it onto. And I'm bringing in so many of these ivy leaves that I've already just cut as well as shaped. So we can see that there. And then what I'm also bringing in is some of these red berries. I absolutely adore these. And these are ones that I'm certainly going to be stocking up with, that is for sure. So I'm just going to snip these away. Now you can see the actual vine that it comes on, but we're just going to use them individually. I'm just keeping a wee bit of the kind of like the stock part on, so it gives us somewhere to tuck into. So let's move all that out of the way. So I'm going to actually add my flower using our hot glue. So I'm going to add that one on just into the middle using the hot glue. And then what I'm going to do for the remaining parts, I'm going to use our Collal chunky glue. So we're just going to take some of the actual ivy. So let's just take that excess bit off. So we're just going to add some of that just to the base, and we're just going to just tuck this in. Now you can use your hot glue if you want, just by using the Collal 3D glue gel. It just enables you to create a bit more maneuverability and a bit more free time to pop it where you want. So all that we're just doing is we're just layering it up, but we're not layering it in any specific way. We're just popping it in, and then all that we're just going to do is just tuck all these parts underneath. So we're just taking some of these ones, we're just going to add them just like that you can see just there. And then even if you want, you can start to just use your pokey tool and just start to just poke it in underneath. And then even then, see, kind of like in between some of the layers, add a bit of the foliage, add a bit of the ivy just to offset it. So if I just pop that one within there, you can see how it already starts to come together, and it kind of looks as though the ivy is entangling in with the actual flower. And then we're just going to take our little berries. So let's just add our glue gel just into there. And again, all that we're just going to do is we're just going to tuck them just nicely underneath. So if we just work our way in, don't be specific, just the initial first place you want to pop them, put them there. It gives you that more free-flowing natural look. So I'm just going to tuck them in just into there, and that is all that I'm going to do with that box. I'm just going to leave it as it is. We've created it using the Christmas rose. We've added some of the ivy that we've also cut and actually shaped, and then some of the red berries. But that is a box that we've created why not start to add them to your cards? So we've created just a nice concept card just here, but then what we've just done is just adding an extra bit of colour to the middle. So we've gone for a bit of green as well as yellow, and we've just shaped that, and that just finishes your card. A sentiment, but that is all that you need. That's the embellishment. Not only are you adding it to your card, but you've also actually handmade it yourself. That's just one of many things that you could be doing with a Christmas rose.